And one woman looks like just a spitting image of Mary Henry Lyon. And we went out to wave one, because it's a period house. It's the interiors of that looked like any house in the 1860s would have looked like. And we filmed them all, and you can see the stills in the book of the sewing circles. But imagine there are 400 women, and they would work in shifts. And there's this one woman who was a part of it who made the comment that, you know, we were supposed to be secret.
Yeah.
But how could you take 400 female tongues and keep them quiet? He said they learned about this on the streets of Richmond. They even learned about it at Centerville, that we were doing this. But still, if they did, the government never stepped in and stopped it. They just kept going. Well, a lot of you folks have heard about the Carey girls. Hetty Carey, and Constance Carey, and Jenny Carey. Hetty and Jenny were sisters, and Constance was their first cousin. Hetty and Jenny came from Baltimore and escaped across the Potomac River to Virginia. They were ardent Confederates. In fact, Jenny Carey is the one who put Maryland, My Maryland to the tune of O Tannenbaum. These are really gifted kids,
Yeah.
and frankly, very beautiful kids, too. In the book, by the way, after the movie came out, a fellow called me from Fredericksburg, Virginia, and he says, have you ever seen an original photographs of Hetty and Jenny Carey? He had them. And for the first time ever, the photographs of Hetty and Jenny taken together in Richmond, Virginia, are published in this. But these women didn't make the first flags. Mary Henry Lyon Jones made the first flag. But they, like Mary Henry Lyon Jones, participated in these sewing circles.
Right.
And as did Caroline Beauregard, as did Kitty Hill, John Hunt Morgan's sister, who married A.P. Hill. She made the flag of the 13th Virginia. Caroline Beauregard made the flag of the 8th Virginia, that was given to the 8th Virginia. So all these flags between sometime around the 19th or 20th of October, or around then, until November 28th, were made by these women. 120 battle flags, all infantry size, to all the regiments and battalions in the Army of Confederate Army of the Potomac. The Carey girls made 3 distinct flags, though. Hetty Carey, the oldest and probably the most beautiful of the trio, made the battle flag that was given to General Joseph E. Johnston. That flag is now in the Museum of the Confederacy. Her sister, Jenny, made the flag that was given to P.G.T. Beauregard. That flag was in the collections of the Washington Artillery of New Orleans camp in New Orleans all the way up until like 10 years ago. And it is now on display in the Louisiana State Museum in Baton Rouge. Beauregard actually had that draped over his casket when he died, that flag. He cherished it so much. And in the book, a collector friend of mine had owned the letter Jenny Carey wrote to Beauregard, and the field copy of Beauregard's letter he wrote back to her, thanking her for this flag. And then Constance Carey made the flag that was given to General Earl Van Dorn, who then was a division commander in that army, and of course ultimately served in the Western Theater. But the reason she picked out Van Dorn was they were both born in Port Gibson, Mississippi. Even though Constance's family were all Virginians, her mother and father were living in Port Gibson when she was born. But so that made them famous, and even in the flag that Constance made, which is also in the Museum of the Confederacy, she even stitched her name Constance on one of the saltier's arms, so you could see her name stitched on it. So all these flags that were given to the First Confederate Army, the stars, the St. Andrew's Cross or saltier flags, were all made by these women in Richmond. And the first one was made by Mary Henry Lyon Jones. Well, you ask, what happened to that flag? When I first saw this flag and it had Shiloh and Perryville on it, I said, that can't be. That can't be.
Not supposed to be in Western PA.
This flag wasn't supposed to be in Western PA. What happened was J.B. Walton wrote a letter that's in the collections at Tulane. He wrote a letter saying that he was given the flag Mary Jones made. He had already had 4 companies of the Washington Artillery in the East. The 5th company of the Washington Artillery was training at what is now Audubon Park in New Orleans, right near Tulane University. And that company, J.B. Walton, left the Eastern Theater and went back to New Orleans and visited shortly after this flag had been made. And he gave the flag to the 5th company to match the flags the other 4 companies had. So this 5th company of the Washington Artillery, the first response it makes to the war effort is the appeal of Albert Sidney Johnston for more troops, as Johnston is trying to hold that thin line in southern Kentucky. They wind up at Corinth, Mississippi, when Johnston's army retreats there after the fall of Fort Henry and Donelson. And their first battle is Shiloh. And they fight their way all the way up to near the Hornet's Nest. They're in the great bombardment of Ruggles Battery against the Federal troops in the Hornet's Nest. And out of that battle, a young section commander of the battery, Cuthbert Slocum, becomes commander of the 5th Company. He's also from New Orleans. Very wealthy man, and by the way, he is one of the closest friends of Eliza Whitney in New Orleans. Eliza lived in New Orleans way after the war and was a very close friend of the Slocums. Anyway, from Corinth, they follow Bragg's invasion of Kentucky, and this unit winds up fighting at the Battle of Perryville. Their guns were positioned right behind the bottom house. And when you look at that great mural of William Travis's murals of the Army of the Cumberland, you see Perryville, and it shows the 2 lines contending in the burning barn up on the hill with the 15th Kentucky Infantry Union around it, and the shells exploding in the air. Those are all from the 5th Company, the Washington Artillery. And so well did they fight at Shiloh, at Perryville, that the division, the brigade commander, Daniel Weisiger Adams, writes in his after-action report that the 5th Company should have Perryville inscribed on their battle flag. So, sometime after the fighting at Perryville and the Army returns to Tennessee, Slocum takes this flag, a silk one. It can't last very long. I mean, it's seen a lot of use. And he gives this flag that Mary Lyon Jones made to Thomas Blair, Lieutenant Blair, who had been captured at Perryville and then escaped. He was back with a unit. And he tells Blair, who comes from Mobile, to take it back home and secure it somewhere, save it. The company was given a Hardee pattern flag, the blue flag with a silver moon. And so Blair takes it back. Blair ultimately is killed at the Battle of Chickamauga on the 19th of September of 1863. So the flag stays in Mobile, and Blair's mother stitches Shiloh and Perryville on that flag. And ultimately, the commander of the Washington Artillery Camp of the United Confederate Veterans in New Orleans makes contact with Miss Blair and gets the flag sent to New Orleans. So it comes full circle. But it's interesting, the 5th Company winds up at the end of the war defending Mobile. And the position they defend is Fort Blair, named for the young lieutenant who took this flag back to his home, which was Mobile. Mary Lyon Jones came from Mobile. She was married in Mobile. She stitched this flag together, which went through half the war until it was retired to Mobile. So it kind of began at Mobile, ends at Mobile. But that is the story of the first battle flag ever made. And what I love about the story is that this battle flag is born out of almost a defiance of the Confederate government itself. That it was done without its knowledge, its consent, its approval, or anything. In fact, they had turned it, Congress had turned it down. And yet the Army makes them anyway for no other reason than military necessity. So That's the story of the flag.